coffee for me and my team. And then the people who had the team, we was like, oh yeah, sure, here you go, take the coffee away, And I just smiled.
Seasonal depression is real. I don't think like you move here and just going to become like really, really rich. There's like debt and taxes.
If you say that, then we're not going to get cancelled.
I don't know if I actually belong here.
Well, for me, my uni, I had a chance to go to San Francisco. Yes, all lessons by the Dutch government. They sponsor your visa.
Oh, wow.
Temperature rising, I'm a survivor. Made for the climate, forging the fire. They want us to fall, we taking it higher.
My name is Sofina and I am the creator of Surviving Europe. When I moved to the Netherlands about 3 years ago, I kept wondering, what does it really mean to belong here as a Black person? I started asking other Black folks about their identity, belonging here, about work, housing, faith, money, entire culture, pretty much everything that shapes our lives when we move abroad. So whether you're surviving Europe or you're thriving in it, this is our stories, our voices, no filters. This is Surviving Europe. I hope you enjoyed the episodes.
Actually, I wasn't quite aware of the difficulties before I decided to come to Netherlands. My cousin was born here, and I've always known about Netherlands like growing up. And there was someone I knew that had moved here 2 years prior, and we were such good friends. And I remember speaking to her and saying, oh yeah, I have family there. She was shocked, What happened, I would say, is probably more chance. I took time off work in 2018, and I wanted to just really figure out what the next steps were. I knew I didn't want to continue working, the way things were in Nigeria. And because of the industry I was in, I was subtly aware that this industry was very mature in the Netherlands. So I saw opportunities there, but I didn't chase those opportunities directly. I came here for a research residency as an artist, and it felt just right because I had family here that could support, that could give me information. But also I had to do it by myself. So I didn't leverage that I had family here. But I guess there was definitely a familiarity of the Netherlands, of Amsterdam, because my cousin had come to visit maybe 3-4 times in my lifetime. So I was aware that I had family in the Netherlands. And it just sort of aligned when I then started to search for research residencies and just be more public with my art. And then I moved here for my research residency after applying. I got a research grant and I received the photography award for top talent globally, also from Amsterdam, and it just made sense. I would say I was not really aware that there were difficulties with migration or moving.
Yeah.
I think the only time I really realized it was when I was told I had to go to either Republic of Benin or Ghana to get my long stay visa. And I was like, why don't you issue that in Nigeria? Then I did a lot of research and realized that, wow, the reality of being Nigerian, really limits you. So yeah, that was my journey. I would say it's just aligned, basically, that I'm now here in the Netherlands for 3.5 years.
That's a really good question, because before I moved to the Netherlands, I didn't know the stories. So these are after move, what would you call it? Issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reason I moved was because I got a job. So basically, at the point when I was still in Nigeria, I got to a point where I felt it was time for me to kind of try something new, work in a different country, work with different people from different races. So that was how my Japa story started. And obviously, like everybody else, it started with, I'm going to go do masters. I started getting all the admissions. But then I was lucky to get a job. And I was like, it's better to get a job than to do masters. That's how I moved.
I think it's quite right in saying that in Netherlands, PR is not bad from the outside yet, right? It's still, if you go online, you see things like, 90-something% of the population speaks English, so don't worry about the language. They're very tolerant. Prostitution is legal. Mind blown.
I was going to the red light district.
Things like that. Cannabis is legal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it sounds like utopia, and you really want to go. But for me, it was more, I think the desires were kind of similar, a bit similar to yours. I wanted something different, right? So my story kind of started from the UK. I finished my master's, I went back home, I was working, and then election season was coming. Coupled with that, I felt a bit, stuck. I had an international education, but I was still working in like a local environment. I
Yeah.
wanted more challenges, more responsibility. I wanted an international experience. And so I just started doing my research, right? And, I was in UK during COVID, so out of it.
Were you in UK during NSAS or were you in Nigeria?
I was in UK during NSAS. So I was watching all of that from my dark room. It was winter, so I was working, it was bad.
Makes
And I
sense.
was there during COVID. And you know how the UK handled COVID? It was
Yeah.
a bit, it was not the best way.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a good experience. So I knew I was most likely not going to go back to the UK. So I wanted something different. And on a bus trip, a friend of mine had told me about, using your UK degree to get a year's visa to come to the Netherlands. And so in my mind, I was just going to take a gap year, come, see what's here for me. And if there's nothing, go back home and continue.
Back home to where? UK
To
or
Nigeria, to just continue. So that's why I came, to explore. Think of it like another adventure.
A couple of things, actually. I found it to be like a city that's just really calm and peaceful. Nice people and very immigrant friendly. And I thought it'd be a nice place to live in.
My initial destination, or my original destination, was Switzerland. But I was given an extra condition to stay there. That was why I decided to go to the second country on my list, and that was the Netherlands. I came here to study. I did a master's in artificial intelligence, and that was why I moved. But the bigger goal was to get international work experience in AI, machine learning, and tech generally.
Yeah, I didn't have any. I moved from Germany, so similar to you, but I didn't have any. I didn't care about controversy for me personally. I didn't have any opinion. I moved there for work. I came all the way from Germany.
Why did you move to Germany first?
Yeah, so I started with school. I started with masters in Germany, and then I started with a PhD. But along the way, I dropped out, and then I moved here for.
Why Germany in particular?
No, okay. I think the major reason was because it was tuition free.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the main reason.
How was the transition for you, moving from the visual arts space to now having to what you do as a project, the management and everything? Yeah.
It was actually in phases, right? Because I first moved here, not straight to working.
Okay.
So I moved here for a research residency that was fully funded. So I literally was living the life. I didn't have to worry about anything. I had my accommodation, I had a stipend, and I was very in the now, in the sense that because I received an award, people wanted to work with me, people came to ask me. Everyone was really curious about this new artist that's young from Nigeria. I was the only African in my residency year. So I guess I really had it good. But the shock, of coming to a new country, adjusting to the weather, those were the main challenges. And then, of course, reality then hits after the research. And that was in 2021, October. That I had to find something else to do. And I remember then the reality started to really hit about the fact that actually then I have to face the things that you expect when you're moving to a new country, what kind of visas are there, work permit and all of those things. And it became very pressing. And because I already had the overview that, the industry I was in, which is within a data center, there are a lot of data centers in the Netherlands. So I was fairly confident that I could find something, and I did. I worked with Microsoft right away. I was in one of the hyperscale campuses. And I mean, they're the in-betweens, but so I would probably say it happened in phases, and that really helped me ease in because I was already here. When I had to leave the research residency, I could live with my family for a bit and then slowly ease my way in there. So I've been quite privileged, actually, with my journey in the Netherlands, I would say, because I know that it's definitely, for other people, it's a whole different story. Yeah.
Get me cancelled. Not like I'm trying to get cancelled, but one opinion I would say is, let's say, the healthcare situation. I think it's the opinion regarding the Netherlands is every little thing you get paracetamol, you get Panadol. You get Panadol for cancer, you get Panadol for hypertension, Panadol for even like when you explain the situation to the nurses or to the GP, how intense the situation is, you still get paracetamol, which is not different from where I'm coming from. In Germany, they give you, they say, go and take green tea. They say you need to drink a lot of water, you have to take green tea. So, yeah, but that's just the present situation. Sometimes it helps. You never know if it's paracetamol, but I think they really need to just listen to what someone is saying. I'm telling you, I'm having serious aches. I'm really having aches. I don't need paracetamol. I would have thought of paracetamol if I needed paracetamol. But yeah.
But that's actually. But I really do not see the way medical care or healthcare is delivered here. I do not think is really a problem, because I think most people exaggerate their conditions. And, so people they just want to jump to drugs or jump to treatment, but here the healthcare system is designed to allow your body system to do their job first before you move to.
Have you been to GP?
Yes, I've been to GP, and for instance, I had a swelling under my tongue, and I was worried. I was like, please just probably take me for surgery. My GP said no, just give it 3 days, take paracetamol, and I did, and it disappeared.
Yeah, but in my own case, I had like a nose situation. I think it was, I don't even know it. Till now, I don't think they prescribe what the diagnosis is. So they say, oh, go and take paracetamol. And then I'm still having issues. It's going for like 2 years now. Paracetamol doesn't really do the job, even though I know what it is. You know what I mean?
I don't really have any negative opinion, I would say. But people are very direct and just very, like, you could see their physical, be like, hi, but they could just be like, yeah, but they'll tell you the business. And for me, I kind of like it because it's like there is no need to pretend. They won't pretend. They'll just tell you their mind, and I like that. So with the Dutch directness, I love it. I embrace the Dutch liberalism, actually. I think it just aligns with me. What I don't embrace is the pretentiousness. So maybe that would get me cancelled. The Dutch are quite pretentious. They're direct until they're not, They're so open because there's a limit to the openness. So I think the directness is a form of control that, you can be open but not too open. You can be wild but not too wild, And that's something that there needs to be more conversation about. There's a limit to how much openness is there. But in comparison to other European countries, I think there's a genuineness with that directness and openness that they really want to listen and change. Maybe not directly, but once things become aware. For instance, with the scandal with the childcare benefits, Of course, not a lot has happened, but once it's been open, right, there's always that awareness and that, desire to engage. It's maybe not exactly change because, it's a lot. So that's probably the only thing I would say in relation to dot directness, that it's very welcome, it's very wonderful, but, it's also like a snake in green grass,
If you say that, then we are going to get cancelled.
I mean, you only get cancelled if you have people that care about you that will cancel you. I don't think my opinion is strong enough that anybody gives a shit, but yeah.
For me, I do think that whether or not they are sufficiently informed about the topic, they still go ahead to speak their mind, right? And sometimes if they're sufficiently informed, that comes across as being very, I like that, it's refreshing, they're direct. But in a case where the person is totally ignorant of what they're talking about, it comes across as, them being just ignorant, and of course you try to be polite and just smile through the encounter, but you can tell that, this person is actually quite ignorant. And they don't have the emotional intelligence to not continue to dig the hole that they are currently digging for themselves.
So the directness, from my experience, doesn't exist in the corporate world. So I think it only exists when people are angry. So if you get on a bike path, someone will tell you fuck off, or in Dutch and things like that. But when it comes to serious, we are working and you need people to be direct about work or performance or things like that, I think I don't see that directness. So I would say that I don't believe in that stereotype. I think it's something that is a stereotype that people are pushing. Yeah, I don't. I feel like there are way more Nigerians that are way more direct, and there are people from other regions at work that are way more direct than my people that I know that are Dutch. So yeah.
How about their liberalism and their level of tolerance?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think the Netherlands is a place where you can be yourself. Here's the thing, right? I feel like there is a hidden rule on how to behave. So this is not a country where you come to and you can't do what you want to do, be yourself or do whatever you want to do, but you just feel that you are expected to be a certain kind of way. You're expected to dress a certain kind of way. For example, I'm wearing black. This is what most people would wear in the Netherlands. And if you go to the train station, it's like no one is telling you to
wear dull colors.
Yeah, so no one is telling you to keep quiet, but you just get the vibe that you should keep quiet, that you should behave aside. So it's a very, that's, of course you can do whatever you want to do, but it's like, you just get a feeling, there's a vibe in the air that,
Which is a bit counterintuitive, because if you think about it, they're supposed to be direct, right? And tell you what to do.
Yeah.
But here they are just hoping you know how to behave.
Exactly. So it's kind of like,
it doesn't add up.
Yeah. You shouldn't say certain things, and you shouldn't do certain things, and you shouldn't eat certain things.
Yeah.
Again, it's not direct, but it's just the vibe.
Alright.
Yeah. And I say this when comparing it to like other places that I've been in Europe. There are certain places that you go to that are like, you just feel like it's a little, you can,
It's chill.
It's like you just bust. Like the first time I traveled to like Portugal, for example, it felt like, finally, I can just do whatever I want to do. But yeah, you've come to the Netherlands, it's like, okay, yeah, you have to follow some rules. Yeah.
The Netherlands is it's a very liberated community, and they adhere to democratic values. So if you like someone coming from a very conservative country like Nigeria, where we have certain values like probably how a woman should dress or how a woman should behave in society, or the role of a man. If you try to express those conservative perspectives here, I think the Dutch people they're very direct and they're very blunt. They may express some strong feelings towards you, and especially in the workplace, that can really get you into some uncomfortable situations. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. The Dutch is very sectioned off. I mean, Zuidoost is by default black or the diversity capital. And I think the Surinamese are actually the majority of the black people within the Netherlands, from my perspective, and then the Ghanaians and other, former colonies, and then you have Indonesia, but then they're POC people. For the black community, there's a certain pre-expectation, and you see that very subtly with how they organize education, HABA, VBO, and all of that. So yes, I have very strong opinions about that. And as someone who's in a, middle-level management role at work, I find a lot of times that, there are meetings happening and I arrive to, lead that meeting, and, I find that the people I have to work with are surprised, or they just have an unknown bias. I remember one time I was getting coffee for me and my team. And then the people who had the team, we was like, oh yeah, sure, here you go, take the coffee away, And I just smiled because that's, of course, is subtle, but that's just sort of a bias I don't realize. So yes, it's very sad that, it exists that way. There's almost like you're welcome, but up to a certain level, you're not welcome. And the same I said about the directness, right? And you see like, if you're out in public, especially in Amsterdam, right? And you say, oh, I live in Zuidoost, there's already like, oh, okay, interesting, And that's why I love to live here, because there's a growing community. And, you see how there's gentrification happening live. It's marketed as progress. They have then things that are tokenized stuff like the Baku Festival, all of these things where you then see the vastness of the black community, or Ketikoti, which is the breaking of the chains for Surinamese, but then it becomes a poster for diversity, because then on Ketikoti Day, not just is there celebrating Ketikoti, but then you see everybody from different, ethnic groups, when you're from African, black, POC communities.
Well, from my personal experiences, I have not really seen any segregation. Even from uni, my classmates related with me, there was no segregation based on my skin color, and I made a lot of friends. I did international projects with people from all over the world, and a fair playground was given to me to do whatever I want to do academically. And when I got a job it was, ever since I haven't really experienced any form of segregation, and my company is very open. I have access to everything else that every other person has access to, and everyone is treated the same way. There was a time I kind of felt like, probably I was treated differently because of my skin color. Then I realized that my colleagues, my white colleagues and other people from other places, they also experience the same treatment. It's just the company policy, just because I didn't have enough information. So I haven't seen any segregation or discrimination in this country. But that's just me. It could be very different from other people.
I just feel like you have a sense of belonging, like you belong here.
I don't know if I actually belong here.
Well,
I belong to
me,
the streets.
For me,
Sorry, I'm joking, but I don't know. I don't think I belong. I don't know.
For me, I still see myself as a migrant or an immigrant or as an expat, because I still have my ties to my country. So I still have my ties to my people, to my ethnicity. So, but and also I struggle to learn the language.
Yeah. I think the language helps with the belonging truly. Yeah.
I think the people are very accommodating, but I do not see myself as I still see myself as an outsider for now.
Honestly, I don't really know. I don't know if I really belong here. I don't know, because if I say I truly belong here, let's say I'm accepted here, but I don't think I've really come to terms with if I truly belong here. Because if I'm really saying I belong, that means I'm not thinking of migrating somewhere else, or I'm not thinking of living my life in another place after. But presently, I think I'm okay. I'm comfortable where I am. I'm also content with what the Netherlands is offering. So yeah.
I can't speak for everyone, but I haven't experienced anything like that. I'm very grateful to not have experienced anything like that. And maybe if I have, I just didn't really notice. But I do know that when I moved, I didn't really see lots of black people here. It's very diverse, but maybe if I take the UK, for instance, or some cities in Germany, I feel like there's a larger group of black people. And I feel like when I moved, I hadn't really seen that. But with time, I found the different circles, and I've seen more of that.
Well, I think when black people connect with the existing communities that they have as black people, it makes things a lot easier, right? Because when I just got here, first few months, I was not having it, right? I did not know almost any Nigerian.
Yeah.
I did not know any young person, so it was the absolute worst. And when I got in contact with a couple young Nigerians, and we started hanging out together.
How did you meet your first Nigerian?
I joined a WhatsApp group.
How did you get on that WhatsApp?
Good question. How did I get on that WhatsApp group?
Yeah, I'm also curious.
Yes. So when I was in Nigeria, the company I was working for, there was a Nigerian in the Dutch office. I think she'd moved as well.
Okay.
So when I was coming, I reached out to her, and she gave me some advice. She gave me some tips, and she also got me introduced into the Nigerian group. So that was quite helpful.
Yeah.
But then I was just an active observer in there until I joined there's this WhatsApp community, and then you have subgroups, and then I joined the group where they get together, they hang out, they play games, and
that's how you met me, and your life never remained the same.
I feel like as long as black people can connect with what they're quite familiar with, it helps. And I say this because I've noticed that Dutch people, they're very protective of their circles. For you to get into it, the bar is quite high, right? So as a new person, that might be off-putting because you feel it's so hard to make friends, it's hard to belong, right? But with people in the community, the bar is quite lower because you have things in common, right? Even if you're not from the same place, there are things you can find in common. Even if it's your perceptions about how Dutch people are, you can definitely laugh over that, and then that already creates a connection. So I feel like that's easier. Finding, it could be an international community, or it could be a community from the place where you're from. That's very important, because you shouldn't expect to make Dutch friends easily. They are very protective of their circles.
So yes, I've been very aware of it, and maybe that's then my artist side, because my research is around identity and displacement, and it does go hand in hand. And I wouldn't say that, it's terrible or a crisis level here, because, I really enjoy the life in Netherlands. There's a good work-life balance, but it doesn't mean that you should be blind to these things, When I think about friends and family who grew up here, there's a certain limitation, I had a show in the museum near very close to the center, and for some reason, the people I invited from South just didn't feel like they could be there. It's like, it just feel like we're not welcome in these spaces, and a lot of young people that I have conversations with, they are always asking me, on the artist side, how do you express your voice? How do you find your identity and your own visual language? And on the work side, it's always also like, I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know I could ask for a raise. I didn't know I could work more hours, or even in terms of even defining ambition. So it's very subtle. You've already been clipped just way early on when you're younger, and you don't really get to a point where you can fully realize that these things are possible. And because I'm not from the Netherlands, I can always see and push past that. But I can imagine if I grew up here, I might also just be inclined to think, this is my peak, and just be like, this is what I can do, this is who I can be.
Yeah, don't think like you move here and just going to become like really, really rich. There's like debt and taxes. Yeah. So like taxes are a lot, in my opinion. But I guess it's how like everywhere is kept really the way it is. Bills, yeah. I didn't know I'd be paying these kind of bills when I moved here, and I was like, wow, I'm paying for this. Sometimes I open like the mailbox and I'm like, God, please let's not be another bill. And I open up, boop, it's something from the Gemeente, and I'm like, bloody hell. But I would say, even with all of that, there's like a very, very nice balance in like standard of living. It's really, really good. And just like peace, like I said, one of the things that brought me here. So those are things like to expect.
And stay informed also. Yeah.
How do you stay informed?
Well, talk to people, make the phone calls, send emails, ask the questions, be concerned, follow up, let it matter to you.
Honestly, the only thing that comes to mind is the weather, man. Like, seasonal depression is real. Like, I think it doesn't affect everybody, but if you haven't lived in the country that has this kind of weather, like, just know that you need to prepare for it. Like, have your vitamin Ds, but most importantly, have like friends for the winter period.
If you're moving here and you hope to work here or to look for a job here, and this is from my experience, you're gonna read online that English not really necessary, like compulsory. You can live with English, and that's true. You can live with English, but finding a job with only English on your resume is hard. Why? Because you are restricted to international companies, and there are very few. So you're fighting with everybody for the little international companies that are here.
Yeah.
While the local companies will definitely require you to know Dutch. So do not be deceived that you can just get by with English and you have a very easy job search experience. You will eventually find something where you don't need to speak Dutch, but do not be deceived. It is not going to be easy.
Yeah, especially if it's a non-tech role.
Especially if it's a non-tech role or a non-STEM role. You definitely need Dutch.
If you're planning to come here, you have to see that nowhere is perfect. And you have to be willing to embrace new ways of being while still having a strong connection to your roots, because the world is dynamic and the world is multicultural, and movement creates opportunity and chance. If you come here with the same bias and mindset, then you will not really realize yourself as a person, regardless of anywhere you go to. But for the Netherlands, specifically, is that don't try to cheat the system, because when you come from Nigeria, it's so easy to cheat the system and, take advantage of it, but like embrace it and truly be genuine that you want to grow and you want to change. Because what I find is that a lot of things that I had aspirations for within my country of origin, I couldn't because of the way things were. But now that I'm here, a lot is possible, and I'm really grateful for that, But then I'm not then mindless in the sense that still I'm from Nigeria and have a holistic view, because ultimately, where your roots are sunk in would be where you always branch out from. I can't erase the Nigerian identity within myself. And so make sure you have a overview of who you are within Nigeria, especially if you come from the capital cities, that's not the country, Don't think that you're escaping something. See that there's so much nuance in the fact that the situation of the country comes from, cause and effect. Cause being that, there's the history of colonial legacy. There's the political elites. Nigeria is such a beautiful country. So don't come with the mindset that, Nigeria is damned, but come with the mindset that you want to grow yourself. You want to embrace the opportunities that are here. You don't have to necessarily return, but, when you come with that mindset, then it's easy for you to see opportunities, make them tangible, and grow. And whatever it is you come as, if it's directly to work, to study, and be open to new experiences. Try as much as possible to remove the projections of what is expected. A good example is, back in Nigeria, you're used to a certain way the police treats people. And then if you come here, it's a whole different reality. So yeah, I think that's one of the, or maybe not one, but that's the viewpoint or the mindset that I would say that one has to really be mindful of. Because for me, when I think about myself coming here, I, spent time to really think about why I wanted to move, what the goals were, what I hoped for it to come. So every time I was faced with the challenge of whether or not I could stay or what I could do for work or all of that, I could always be like, okay, this is part of a journey. This is intentional. I'm not just trying to, as we say, jackpot, but I want to make something of myself, and I want to grow into someone who is cosmopolitan, and after all is said and done, I'm still Nigerian. And yeah, and if you can have that, if you be in that mindset, then you're going to be fine.
Just have a focus, have something you want to achieve, and if you already have a plan what you want to be, this country will give you the chance to achieve it. You'll have access to a lot of things. I'll rely on my personal experience. My uni, I had a chance to go to San Francisco.
All expense paid?
Yes, all expense paid by the Dutch government. They sponsor your visa.
Oh, wow.
To go to San Francisco for 1 year to work in the Bay Area.
Did you say your uni?
Yes, and this is available to all master students in AI and tech generally. So a lot of my colleagues went, but because I already got a job so I didn't bother to. I couldn't go to San Francisco. So I think this country gives you a chance to be who you want to be. You have access to high-tech resources, to first-class environment, and the only thing you need to do is to not be lazy, because if you're lazy or you're not try to put in your A game, these are very smart people.
Yeah.
If you do not put in your A game, you may get into some trouble or get relegated. They just put in your A game in everything you do. I think you can rule the world from here.
The response means not just school. I don't even know what to say. What advice can I give? I think you just have to be open-minded and accept whatever comes your way. That's just it. Otherwise, the country will sweep you left, sweep you right. A lot of things can happen, apartment situations, or the government, or R&D. You never know. But if you have that open mind and just accept things for what they are, I think you will grow. That's just it.
I moved like in the summer, right? So the first time I was going to go and meet up with someone was the day they were having like the gay parade. The parade, it was like Pride Month, and there was a huge parade that day. And I was trying to get somewhere. I had to come down from the car. And I was like, wow, I have never seen this before. Like everyone was just like, they were just happy, the flags and everything. I'm just like, I've never seen this before. Coming from my own country, they can't do this. So I was like, oh, wow, this is nice. And they're just like enjoying their life and moving on. So like that was nice to see.
Another thing again is just directedness. When I think shortly after I moved, I was seeing someone, and I was still trying to get my life together in the sense that it's crazy trying to get an apartment. It's crazy trying to know how everything works, and I was still trying to get used to it. And we started talking, and she was looking at me as like someone that we will end up dating. It's not like it was far from my mind, but I won't say I was homeless, but technically I was homeless. I was living in a hotel provided by company, but once this runs out, I have nowhere to go to. So one day she just texted me and she just basically told me, oh, okay, what exactly is going on? Like, it seems like she is looking at me towards like a dating thing. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, me too. Yeah, but maybe I'm not like interested or this or that. But bottom line, she thinks we should just stop talking. I'm like, sister, just like that. She thinks we should just stop talking. Like, there's no point. Since like basically I'm not interested. Since I'm not interested in dating her, there's no point in talking. I didn't know what to say, but I was just like, okay. I couldn't start explaining to her what was going on in my life. I was just like, okay, that's fine. And I would say people being direct and just boom, this is it. And lastly, one tiny thing. In my life, I never knew that you would want to use the bathroom and you have to pay to use the bathroom. That was something I was like, sorry? They were like, yes, sir, it's €1. I'm like, wait, I have to pay to use that? Yes, you have to pay to use the bathroom. Like, okay. But they remain clean anyway, so can't complain.
You know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, this video with your friends. Thank you.